Now what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to mark this bowl for the flutes. And I'm just going to kind of look and see probably where I want to start. And where I want to end. So when I set all that up, then I'll start at that line or this line and go to the other line. And then that'll tell me everything will be even that way. If you don't mark this and you start setting your flute, your router up, then you don't know where to put those blocks so that you'll know where that's going to take place. Now you're going to, when you come down in here, this end down in here is going to be a little bit thicker than this out here, just because I didn't want it to go through the bottom again. That's just a safety factor. Now, there's a formula that I don't really use it, but there is one, and you can take, it's always to measure how many flutes you want to put on this thing, or can put on it. You measure this thing to see what the circumference of the bowl is. The best way to do it is to take the smallest end, because that's where you're going to end up. And down here, the flutes are going to become closer together than they are out here. So when you roll it down there, then it's just going to be that way. There's nothing you can do about it. So you don't want to try to put too many flutes on here. So this formula will tell you how many you can put on there if you're using a certain size bit. So we're going to be using a 1/4 inch bit.
So does the website have a chart?
Yeah, it's got one. It looks like this. Wow. What it does is everything revolves off of this. So you can say, well, I want 60 flutes. I can't get that many on this size bowl, but if you wanted 60 flutes, then it tells you to go to A, and then you have one between each flute. So that's the way this thing operates, and I'll get into that in just a second. But that's what this is. Y'all can pass that around and look at it. What you do is take the circumference of this bowl, which is 5 inches. You multiply that by pi. Now, believe me, when I first heard that, I thought, I'm not real good with that, and I didn't even know what pi was. But there's a thing in the booklet that tells you what pi is. And I figured it was either pecan, cherry, or apple. And I didn't know how to multiply that. So that was a deal, and I did all of that. Then you take that and divide it by the size of your bit times 2. If you've got a 1/4 inch bit, that means you're going to multiply or divide it by 0.5. It's going to be a 1/2 inch. So that's what we'll do here. What I do for me, I just say I want 32 flutes on this bowl. That's how many I want. Now, there's a way you can figure out whether you can do that or not. It's a little time consuming, but you can do it. And it's with this thing right here. You set that on there, and your pencil will start marking it. And then you just go with the numbers that it tells you to go and keep rolling it and seeing if you can get 32 flutes on there. If you can't, then you come back and start all over. But the size of the bowl, that will kind of dictate. If any of you've got your phone, you can do those multiplications and figure out.
So you think 31.4 flutes.
See, so it'll be 30 flutes is what this will hold. It wouldn't take any more than that. So that's what that is. Now, y'all have a little conversation because I got to set all this up, and then we'll do the flutes. This is not part of the equipment. I did this on my own. because I wanted some way to get away from this headstock when I'm using that router. So this moves me out that much further away from that headstock. Now this thing was made to where this operates off of the ways. This is the way it was originally designed, and you just turn this around and make your flute. I find that very awkward, and you really got to put a lot of pressure on this because all the weight's on the back of this thing. So you got to put a lot of weight down here and keep this thing running the way you want it. And then they got stops and everything. But I didn't want to do that way because I found it to be harder than I wanted to do, so I built a platform. And I put this up here, and then I can rest that whole thing on there. Makes it a lot easier. Wood. And I knew better than that, but I didn't do it I mean, I did it anyway. Got them out, and they did, so we're all right. Okay, now I've got that set up, and then this operates off of this. And as you can see, it's a little bit easier to handle. This is going to be, you line this up to that one of those lines that I put on here. So that's where that is. You make sure it's going to go in straight. A lot of parts to this thing. Okay, let's try this and see if this is going to work. Now I'm going to enter in the top of it and then turn it down to the bottom. What I'm trying to do is I'll press this down and I'll move it till it hits right here. Hits that stop, and then I'll swing the bottom of it around. Okay? Is that lathe unplugged? Did I unplug it? Because I'll reach over and turn that thing on if I don't.
I think you did when you
Okay.
put
Okay.
It's unplugged.
It's unplugged.
Now, I've got here, I'm gonna put 15 flutes in this thing. So that means I go 4 holes every time. I got one. But that's the way that's supposed to do right there.
What are you using for a cutter?
This, it's a 1/4 inch router bit. Yeah, this right here. And sometimes when you're doing this, I've had a problem with that, and I've had to tape this when I start moving it out and loosening it up, because the depth of the bit is now shorter, but this thing right here kind of wobbles, and sometimes it'll tighten back up. Anybody have a question about any of this? You just keep, this kind of gets monotonous when you're watching it, I'm sure. It gets monotonous sometimes when you're doing it. But you just keep on going around this until you get back, and it'll end up back to the original start. And then you'll know that you've got 15 flutes in that thing. The only thing you really have to pay attention to is how this thing enters, how your stops are, and how your bowl is set up. And once you get all of that down, then you've got to do it over and over and over and over and over until you get it to where you can do it well. I'm not there yet, as you can tell. I'm still working on this. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
You're pushing the nose of that router up against the wood as you move it around?
This one,
Yeah.
I push down on it, just
No,
down.
Not the router, the nose of the router.
Oh,
Are you pushing that against the bowl as you push it around?
yes, it slides on this blue part here. This right here should always be on the wood.
Okay.
That should always be on the wood, and that gives you a good smooth surface to slide that across there on. Well, if we could take out those first two, we'd be doing a pretty good job up to right now. But that's kind of what this thing does, and you can do a lot of different things, and I'm still trying to learn how do different things. If you don't have any questions, that's all and I apologize for blowing the bottom out of one of those things and the things that happen with this, but sometimes when I'm up here, that just happens. I have nothing I can do about it, so.
Happens to everybody.
It seems like it happens to me a lot here lately. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed coming down and doing this. And if I ever get it to where I can do it real well, I'll call you and come back and make up for what I didn't do here. All right? Thank you.